Welcome back to Low Stress Math with Mrs. Bono. We are in Book 2, Chapter 3, Writing Linear Equations and Functions, Lesson 5, Rewriting in y equals mx plus b form. How can we rewrite this equation so it is in y equals mx plus b form? Think of the equation and the inverse operation. Y must be isolated. Let's highlight a couple of things in there. We are going to be using the inverse, which we're going to talk about, and y must be isolated. And isolated means by itself, and inverse means the same number and the opposite operation. So I'm just going to put a little star here and write that down. Inverse means the same number and the opposite operation. There I wrote the wrong. Learn to write, Bono. You can do this. Here we go. But the opposite operation. So if I have plus 5, the opposite would be minus 5. If I have 2, the inverse is negative 2. If I have negative 5, the inverse is positive 5. So it's the same number, but the opposite operation. So let's look at this. My goal is to find a pencil, which I had on my desk 2 seconds ago. Here it is. Come back here, little pencil. Mommy loves you. I'm going to draw a line through this equal sign. I'm doing that so that it can be clear what's on the right and what's on, I lie, what's on the left and what's on the right. Oh my goodness. At my age, I can't tell my right from my left. It's terrible. So I want to move things from the left to the right. I want to isolate the y. That means get it by itself. Y must be isolated. You put by itself right here. And the y is almost isolated. It just has a little friend. And its friend is 2x. Now, back to inverse. Same number, 2. Opposite operation. What's the opposite of 2? Negative 2. So right underneath the 2, I'm going to put negative 2x. And I'm also going to put a negative 2x on this side. Now, 2x minus 2x, or 2x and negative 2x, combined to be 0. That's nice. The y comes down by itself, so does the equal sign. And now I have 10 and negative 2x. I got an issue. I can't combine those two. Why can't you combine them? Because one has the variable and one does not. So they're not like terms. They're unlike terms. So I'm put a little thought over here. Cannot not combine unlike terms. And I'm gonna make that a thought bubble. Here we go. We're thinking this, not writing it down. You're supposed to write it down. But cannot combine unlike terms. So I'm making that my thought for this. And since I can't combine them, I'm just going to write them next to each other. Don't do anything to the negative 2x. That's positive 10, so I'm going to write that as plus 10. Because remember, the number always gets the sign in front of it. So this has a negative in front of it, so it's negative 2x. That doesn't have any sign, and when there's no sign, that means positive or plus 2x. So there it is. This is my equation in y equals mx plus b form. Now, let's talk about the parts of an equation. This negative 2, that is called a coefficient. Now, I know you should know that, but you might not. The x right there, that's the variable. And the 10, whatever number doesn't have a variable, that number is called a constant. So the coefficient is the number that you're multiplying times x. The variable is the x, and the constant is the number you add or subtract. We're going to be talking a lot about coefficients, variables, and constants. So just sort of keep those words in your head. Now it says step 1, move the x term to the right side of the equation. Use inverse operations. Before I do that, I'm actually going to draw a line through the equal sign. I'm just going to do that for me. So another little star. Draw a light line through the equal sign. And I do that to separate my left and right. And I'm going to use my pencil to do that because I want it to be a very light line. Now, move the x term to the right side, okay? I have here 2x, and the inverse of that, remember I keep the 2, I keep the same number, but now I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. That looks like a y, 2x. There we go. 2x minus 2x is 0. So I'm going to bring down the 3y equals, now I can't combine them, cannot combine unlike terms, very important. So negative 2x minus 5, because there's a negative sign in front of there. Okay, step 2, move the constant term to the right side. The negative 5 is my constant. It's already on the right side. So I'm going to skip the step. Skip this step if the constant is already on the right. So my constant is negative 5, and it's already on the right. So I'm going to skip that step because my constant is already on the right. Okay, so my next step says divide everything by the coefficient of y. Well, I'm actually going to highlight that word too, because coefficient, so the constant is the number you add or subtract. The coefficient is the number you multiply. So the coefficient of y is the number next to the y, or the number in front of y. So I'm just going to rewrite the equation, but I'm going to put it down here so you could see it. 3y equals negative 2x minus 5. And right in front of the y is the number 3. This is the coefficient. So I'm going to divide by the coefficient. Now let's see. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1y equals negative 2/3 x minus 5 over 3. Write it in y equals mx plus b form. I don't need the 1 in front of the y here. I can just write y equals negative 2/3 x minus 5/3. Now, even though this is a fraction, it's still a constant because it doesn't have a variable, and it's still the y-intercept, b. So slope and y-intercept, remember that slope is m and y-intercept is b. So here, m equals, I'm going to write that underneath here, y equals mx plus b, and my m is negative 2/3, and my b is negative 5/3. It doesn't matter if your y-intercept is a fraction or if it's negative, it's still the y-intercept. All right, next page. Okay, let's do a practice problem. First things first, I'm going to draw my line right down through my equal sign. I'm actually going to do that for all my problems right now while I'm thinking about it, so I don't forget, because I do forget things because, old. But here we go. First step. Oh, goodness me, I might not remember the first step. So go back to page 68, and I'm going to do this with my booklet open so that I can look at my notes while I'm doing my practice problems. And the first note says, step 1, draw a line through the sign, move the x term to the right side. My apologies. My x term is 4x, so it's positive, and the opposite of that is negative 4x. Now 4x and negative 4x is 0. Bring down the 2y equals, I cannot combine unlike terms. So negative 4x plus 8, because 8 is positive, it's plus 8. All right, next, move the constant to the right. It is on the right. Step 3, divide everything by the coefficient of y. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Rewrite in y equals mx plus b form. 1y equals negative 2x plus 4. That is my y equals mx plus b form. Slope m, excuse me, I apologize. M equals negative 2 and b equals 4. Okay. Now you have to stop the video and try some practice problems. You can do this. I have faith in you. You got 4 problems to do. Do them. Actually, you know what? Do 2, and then we'll just take another pause to do the other 2. Did you pause the video? I hope you did, because you need to practice. You only learn math by doing it. All right. So, step 1, move the x term to the right side of the equation. Opposite of minus 5x, plus 5x, plus 5x. Negative 5x and positive 5x is 0. Bring down the y equals, cannot combine unlike terms, 5x plus 1. Y equals mx plus b. So I have it in the right form. Y is isolated, m is 5, x, and 1 is b. So slope 5, y-intercept 1. All right. The x is on, move the x to the right, it's on the right. Move the constant to, it's on the right. Divide by the coefficient, there we go. You don't have to do every step for every problem. You just have to skip the steps if they've already been done. 2 divided by 2, 1y. 6 divided by 2, 3x. 10 divided by 2, plus 5. So my slope, y equals mx plus b. It does not look like an exponent. There we go. The m is the slope, so m is 3, and b is 5. All right, let's try the next 2. Turn off the video and do the problems. I hope you did the problems. You need to practice. You're not going to learn math if you don't try math. All right, first, get the x. Step 1, move the x term to the right side. It's there. Step 2, move the constant. Minus 8 is the constant, so the inverse of minus 8 is plus 8. So I add the constant to both sides. Minus 8 and plus 8 is 0. 4y equals 12x plus 8. Okay. Step 3, divide everything by the coefficient of y. Coefficient of y is 4, so divide everything by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Y equals 12 divided by 4 is 3x plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. Y equals mx plus b. M is 3, b is 2. All right. This is interesting. Look at that. Everything is on the left. We have to move everything to the right. So start by moving the x. Now, even though there's a minus sign after the 8x, that minus sign goes to the 4y. You could rewrite it as 8x plus negative 4y. But just remember that the sign goes with the number to its right. So that minus goes to the 4. On the other hand, 8x is positive. So the opposite of positive 8x is minus 8x. 8x minus 8x is 0. So I have negative 4y plus 4 equals negative 8x. The opposite of plus 4, minus 4. Minus 4 from both sides. Cannot combine unlike terms. Negative 4y equals negative 8x minus 4. Step 3, divide everything by the coefficient of y. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Negative divided by negative is positive 1y equals negative divided by negative, positive 2x. Negative divided by negative, plus 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Don't lose that number. So y equals mx plus b. M is 2. B is 1. Careful. If you need a calculator, stop, take a second, and use a calculator. All right, page 70. And let's take a look at this. All right. Graph the linear function 5x minus 10y equals 20. Rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. Well, let's just rewrite the equation to start with. Here we go. 5x minus 10y equals 20. Step 1, move the x term to the right side of the equation. Use the inverse operation. This is a positive 5. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. 5x minus 5x is 0. Negative 10y equals negative 5x. This 20 is positive, so it's plus 20. When it's positive, it's plus. When it's negative, it's minus. It's not so bad. This is negative 10. I'm going to do step 2 says move the constant, but the constant is already on the right. Step 3, divide everything by the coefficient of y. Here we go. Negative 10, negative 10, negative 10. And you get negative 10 divided by negative 10 is positive y. Negative 5 over negative 10. Ugh. That could be confusing. So let's do it on the calculator. Here we go. We'll make a fraction. Negative 5 on top of the fraction. Negative 10 on the bottom of the fraction. Hit enter, and look at that. It's positive. Let's get closer here. It's positive 1/2. So positive 1/2 x plus, oh, not going to be plus, is it? Get rid of that, Bono. Let's do this. Here we go. It's going to be a fraction. 20 on the top, negative 10 on the bottom, and my answer is going to be positive 2. No, negative 2. Remember, negative 2 means minus 2. Slope, 1/2. Y-intercept, negative 2. So this is rise 1, run, and because the whole thing is positive, I'm going to run to the right. B equals negative 2. Begin at the back with the B. Begin with B equals negative 2. So you begin at the back of the equation with the negative 2. I'm grabbing my highlighter. I'm going to highlight my y, so I make sure to put my y-intercept on the yellow line. My y-intercept is negative 2, so I put a dot on negative 2. I'm going to rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. And I can do that all the way until I don't have any more space. Now, if you want more points, for more points, points. Boy, I'm having a great day today, too. That's 3 whiteouts in one video. That's pretty normal, Bono, probably. Here we go. For more points, I have 1 over 2. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go, instead of rise, I'm going to go down. And instead of run right, I'm going to run left. I'm doing the exact opposite. For more points, I have to do the exact opposite. So I have to go down 1, 2 to the left. Down 1, 2 to the left. I'm following the same pattern. My line is still a straight line. That's the important part. You want to keep all your points in a row, all your ducks in a row. Graph line, here we go. Graph line is the same as draw the line, so I'm connecting. Now you see how all my points are along the side of the ruler? My fingers are kind of far apart. I'm going to push down hard so that when I connect the dots, the ruler doesn't move. Arrow on top, arrow on bottom. Now, here's the important point. Put a puffy cloud of happiness around here. This is what you write on the line. So write the original equation. Sorry. On the line. So I'm going to write the original equation, which is 5x minus 10y equals 20 on the line. Original equations on the line. Okay, homework is page 71, which is the independent practice. Good luck, and I will talk to you later. Bye.